Hi, my name is Nate, and this is the Parent Guide Podcast. This is an outlet where I interview parents on a wide range of topics and in the context of all different age groups. On today's podcast, we will be discussing parenting young with our guest, Courtni, a mom of one daughter. Welcome to the podcast, Courtni.
Thank you for having me today.
It's great to have you on. So tell me a little bit about your daughter.
So I officially have a 7-year-old. Her birthday is today.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you. Yes, her name is Willow. And my gosh, time really does fly. They tell you that before you become a parent, but it makes complete sense.
Yeah.
She is so vibrant. She loves to, I swear we're singing our days away. I can't get her to stop sometimes. Her imagination is just so beautiful that it just makes being a parent that much easier.
That's awesome.
Because we, between adventures and, playing dress up and putting on shows for fake audiences, the list goes on. So
I love watching your Instagram stories. You seem like you have a really great relationship with your daughter, and she seems like such a fun personality.
It's so great, and it's really interesting to be a young parent because there's things that I've gone through that I'm 28 now. I had Willow when I was 21, but there are things that I'm just now kind of starting to see some of my friends go through that I went through 7 years ago. But it's beautiful to be able to relate to it and still, give my, tidbits of parenting advice and kind of grow as a parent with my child.
Yeah.
So it's been an adventure.
That really is awesome. So tell me a little bit about your story and how it relates to, you said it was a little bit having to do with your career. You said you were in New York. So tell us a little bit about your story.
Yeah. So after I graduated high school, I stayed around Pennsylvania for a couple of years. I was going to school for ultrasound, actually, in the medical field. And I decided to chase my dreams instead with the okay and from my parents, and I went to New York City to model and act. It's something I've always done as a child, and then about a year and a half, 2 years into being there, I found out I was having Miss Willow. So her father and all of our family is in this area. So that was a huge shift in my focus and what I was doing originally. All my life, I wanted to be in New York.
Yeah.
But I knew in my heart that I've always wanted to be a mother as well.
Yeah.
And I couldn't imagine raising a child in New York City. It's just so hectic.
Yeah.
So I made my way back to Pennsylvania to be around family and her father, and it's been a journey ever since. And I, like I said, I had her when I was 21. So there were a lot of things that I was able to do with her and grow up with her. Yeah. So, every day I learn something new about being a parent. And I think it's so important, any parent, any mother, father, no matter what age you are, that you surround yourself with positivity and support and love. And, that's how it takes a village to raise a child. And I'm really lucky to have a great tribe, so to speak. And our situation is a little bit different because I co-parent. So her father and I are very, very good friends. And which is, at the end of the day, is number one priority for us. Yeah. And I can speak from experience that it's okay. Growing up, I was raised by my stepfather, and I do have a good relationship with my father now, but I didn't always. And I knew when I became a parent, or when I found out I was having her, that regardless of anything, that I wanted to make sure we had a positive relationship and upbringing for her. So it's her normal. Yeah. And in this day and age, what is normal anymore?
Yeah. No, yeah. So, it's like, it's just like talking with our last podcast with Chuck. It's like, he was a stay-at-home dad, and like that used to not be norm, but now it is.
Exactly. So, I did battle with a few emotions, obviously.
Sure.
Finding out at 21 that, I was changing my path completely from what I thought I was going to be doing for the next, 5 years or what have you. But, making the trek back home and working with our family and our loved ones to create a comfortable, safe space to bring a child into the world. And it's not easy, but it's the most rewarding job that I've ever had. So
that's amazing.
She is it's really interesting. We don't give children enough credit. I feel like they're so intelligent and they are so in tune with energy and with how people feel.
100%.
And, it's really inspiring, but also it's just rewarding to watch her experience things for the first time and things that we take for granted as adults every day. Like the first time she felt grass move across her feet or like to see the wind blowing in the trees. It's like, we don't look at that stuff. Yeah. But I always make sure to take a moment to have those, those special moments with her where we just pause. Yeah. And even now, like life is so busy. She's in first grade now. So she's doing the whole big kid school thing. She's trying basketball this year and, we do dance and ukulele. She started playing. So we do stay busy, but, and then you get in the grind of just being busy. I think it's really important. And I don't know, it's different because, maybe it's my generation. I'm not sure, but, we have to make it a point to get down on our hands and knees and play with the Legos and
100%.
The laundry can wait until tomorrow. Like you're never going to get these moments back with your kid. And it happens just so fast. And now that she's in school, I'm like, I cherish these, the weekends where, we don't have anything going on and we can just play and we can just, because I won't get that time back. And it's those are the things that she'll remember when she gets older. It's not like, oh, the house is clean. No. Awesome. Yeah. It's like, oh, my mom always played with me and my mom didn't mind to make a mess or, so that's kind of how I like to parent.
That's great perspective.
And I'm really thankful for the upbringing that I did have because I was able to experience my relationship with my mother and my stepfather, but also a relationship with my father's side of the family, to just see the different layers and of family and love and how I can connect that and how I parent today. So, it's been a fun journey.
Yeah, that that really is great perspective to quote. I try to connect episodes, with great when it's applicable. And in the first episode, Kim said something really important. She said, I try to be the parent that I wanted when I was younger, or that you, like you said, it was really important that your mother did those things with you. Right. And Kim, maybe it was like, there was a lack of that there. So she wants to be there for her kids in those moments. And I think that
it puts things into perspective when you reflect on your own upbringing or, whatever kind of relationship you might have with your parents individually and how that can relate to your own child's upbringing. So I've always had a really great relationship with everyone in my family, but there are things that I definitely do different that my mom maybe didn't do or, vice versa. But, it's interesting when you do have family members that are so helpful and so hands-on. I have a great relationship with my mom, but there were sometimes I'd be like, hey, Mom, you got to let me parent. Yeah. I appreciate your help, but this is how I'm paving our path. And but it's
because it's a different, it's different styles of parenting, and it could be generational, but also the world that they were raised in, excuse me, is a different world that you were raised in, and a different world that this culture is different.
Exactly.
Everything is different, and I'm sure that you're thinking about those things when you're parenting,
all the time.
It's just different.
It is.
And speaking, so to kind of transition into, one of the other topics that we wanted to talk about is like the difference in generations of parenting and the stigmas that surround being a young parent, like the viewpoint. We discussed this before the podcast that for some reason, like all of I don't know when it happened, because I mean, I'm kind of young, so I don't actually know when it happened, but all of a sudden there was a culture shift in that parenting young was kind of looked down upon. 50 years ago, it was totally okay to get married at 19 and have kids at 20 and 21. And that was just a normal thing.
That was normal.
And you just did it. And now it's like, oh, you're having a kid at 20.
Oh, you don't have a ring on your finger?
Oh, no. Yeah. Like, oh my gosh, like that. Oh,
what
are you
okay?
What are you
going to
do? Are you okay?
You're so young.
Yeah, you're so young. You have your whole life ahead of you. How did you go through, when people would say things like that to you? How did you process that? And how do you go about it in your parenting?
Yeah, it's interesting because I don't know if it's maybe the area that we live in or,
sure.
It's a little bit more conservative where we're at. But I think it makes a huge difference that I have a wonderful support system kind of in my corner and reminding me that I'm exactly where I need to be. And that's just how it's always been. Not everybody has that, which I can't imagine how tough that might be. But I think, it would always be kind of sideways, like, oh, wow, you're so young. It wasn't like, oh, good for you. Yeah. You're doing a great job. It's like, and I've always been the kind of person in every aspect of my life to find the silver lining or look at the positive in every situation. And she is such a gift, and anybody that gets the chance to spend time with her realizes that, she's a special little girl. So I would never really take it too much to heart because I know how good of a mother I am. And at the end of the day, of course, there'll be times where I'm like, I had to bite, I'd bite my tongue because obviously I'm usually with my child, number one. But it's like, it's not really anybody else's, business. But at the end of the day, I work hard. Yeah. As cliche as it is, age is just a number. Yeah. I'm still able to have a career full-time, be a mother full-time, and pursue my modeling and acting still. There's a way to find that balance to where I can still be an amazing mother while growing as an individual and growing with age and, in my career and everything else. I actually, right after I had Willow, I was on set for a Virgin Mobile commercial, and she was probably like 2 months old. And when you become a mom, or even now, I talk about her all the time because I love her, and she's just like the sweetest little thing. Sure. So, but I would catch myself doing that so much, and I'm like, okay, well, not everybody has a kid. So A, they don't understand. B, they might not be interested because they don't understand. And, maybe it's too much. So I wouldn't always, come out and just tell strangers, But I was talking to another actress and shared that, about my daughter. And I shared a picture, and she's like, you know what? Number one, I would have never guessed that you were a mother. But number two, I think it's so amazing that you are just out here kicking butt, still living your dreams, still, living your life to show her that she can do that in the future, whatever she wants to do. But also, there's so many, like you said, there's so many stigmas about young parents that it's like almost you have to work harder to prove that you're the same as the 40-something-year-olds that are doing the same thing that you're doing. And she was her parents had her at an older age, and she's like, I know there's stigmas, but I think it's really special that you're able to experience a lot of things with her that I know I'm not going to be able to experience with my parents because they're getting older, and there's only so many days on this earth. So that was a really special conversation because I'd never until that point looked at it that way. I just looked at it as I'm a mom and I'm doing a great job, and that's all there is to it. But to hear it from someone who has parents that are older that looks at it completely different than the stigmas that are always thrown my way, it's like, all right, that's the way that it needs to be. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Yeah. It really doesn't, because if you can provide and you can be what your child needs. That's,
Yeah.
that's it. And she's a direct reflection of our hard work and our co-parenting. And, it's a different world that we're in right now, raising children. It's kind of a scary, world.
Yeah.
So it's so important to always keep communication open and always provide a safe space. And, that's something that I really take pride in. And now that she's getting older, I can see that it's those like moments that I just take a couple seconds to say, hey, Willow, if you're having a bad day or if something happens at school, don't be afraid to tell me. Those are things that I was always very thankful for with my parents, because especially in this day and age, it's, there's tough conversations that will need to be had down the road that I'm not ready to have just yet. But, she'll hear things at school or she'll, and it happens in the blink of an eye. So just to create that sense of a safe space, kind of got off on a tangent there, but
no, that's great. And it's an important point to make is like 7 years later, you still remember that conversation with that person, and those words, are so supportive. And I think something to really hit home on in this podcast is, I've met a lot of women who either planned on having a kid at a young age or did not plan on having a kid at a young age. And both occasions, it can be scary and it can be very daunting. But I think the part to hit home at is like whatever decision you choose to make as far as, putting up for adoption, raising it yourself, going, whatever route you take. I think your life and your relationship with your daughter, Willow, like, I think it's a testament to it will be okay. Keep pushing, keep working hard, get that support system. It will be okay, because I've seen so many situations where it turns out it'll be okay. I mean, life is shitty, but, get a good support system and, things will turn around for the better.
And one thing I always try to remind people, whether you're a parent or not, but even more so, take care of yourself. We can't be good. We can't be good to the people that we love or the people that we take care of if we're not taking care of ourselves. I feel like oftentimes I see loved ones, or even in my own mother, because she's just, there's 4 of us. Age range from 31 to 20. So she's always given everything to us. And now that we're all older, it's like, oh, I need to get a sense of my life back. What did I do before running you guys to football and to dance? And, so you have to be able to, we get lost in parenting, because that's what good parents do.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's so healthy to take even one day a month, go on a date night with your significant other. You have to have those moments where you kind of bring it all back full circle and say, okay, this is why we're here. This is where the love started. And this is why I'm able to give my all to my kids or kid. Because it's really easy to burn out with everything else that goes on in life. And when that happens, I feel like it's so easy to take your energy or stress out on the people that you love. And sometimes that could be your kid. So it's so important to take time to relax into yourself.
This conversation has been really awesome. I've learned a lot of stuff.
Yeah, thank you for having
me.
Not
only about you, but also just about parenting in general and life. Like that's what we always want to pull out. Like it's applicable to parents, but also just like life lessons. That's what we always want out of these conversations. So thank you so much, Courtni.
Thank you, Nate,
for being on this podcast. I had so much fun with this conversation. For our listeners, you can check out all kinds of parenting info and insights at our website, parent.guide. That's parent.guide. Stay tuned for our next episode coming soon. We post on a weekly basis. Thanks for listening.